A withholding tax of 10% assumes a net profit margin of about 33.3%, which is unrealistic if you really look at the construction sector and the industry as a whole. Because that is right now an average 10 to 15%. So therefore, we would like to request that it be revised downwards, because at least at 4%, it would be aligned to a more realistic figure of 12%, which is what the profit margins for the construction sector is. And I know that there are challenges in resources right now, but we'd really like to request that the delays we address the issues of delays in paying contractors, because this actually affects their operations. And we believe that these are also some of those services that we can be exporting. We've seen a lot of contractors coming in from Zambia into the country or other countries within the region. There's no reason why Malawian contractors should not be also exporting their services. But we can only do that if we actually grow. We've also noticed that there are quite a number of construction equipment that is imported, which continues to deplete our foreign currency. And we would like to really look at how we promote production of small-scale manufacturing for the construction sector by actually having those some of the incentives that would help grow those. So one of the opportunities that we've seen is ceramics, cement, wall putty, glass, furniture, so doors, and then even bulbs. But to really make this a reality, Honorable Minister, we'd like to propose some of the incentives that would help to grow that manufacturing sector for the construction sector through duty exemptions on machinery that is required to produce these materials, reduced taxes on packaging for locally manufactured materials, and also reduced tax on importation of intermediate raw materials, because there's value addition, and by increasing that value and adding that value, we can be able to gain more. For the finance and banking and insurance sector, to enhance the availability of capital in Malawi, it is essential to look at areas that we can provide incentives, and also making sure that the regulatory framework is actually supportive. So from our membership, what we've noted is that the newly introduced Foreign Exchange Control Act, which is meant to curb illegal trade in forex, is actually now also creating confusion on how private sector For the agriculture sector, we are looking at mega farms and other activities that are expected quite high. We would want to make sure that Malawi continues to remain competitive. So there are quite a number of considerations that would like to Minister, would like to really request that the payment period for SME services, which is currently extremely long, And one of the service providers have been worried about
Firstly, Honorable Minister, may I convey our congratulations to you for being re-elected or reappointed as Minister of Finance and Economic Affairs, because we know that there's a lot of trust in you to carry the nation forward and make it an economy that is self-sustaining. In terms of our presentation, we will look at the context of high inflation and the forex scarcity that has impacted a lot of essential imports, and the shrinking tax base, which means there will be proposals on how we can expand the tax base. Sometimes when you are looking at the expanding the tax base, it becomes a hot topic. We also recognize that there have been irregular weather affecting expected patterns of rainfall, and we know very well that unemployment of the youth, which is very productive, is very high, but at the same time, there is kind of a weak call to action and coordination on the Malawi 2063 goals. So, in terms of how we are going to make our presentation, we're looking at how do we broaden the tax base, and in terms of the strategic tax policy recommendations, employment and also individual taxation, corporate taxation and incentives, which I've seen that principally they have also been covered by my colleague from MCCI. And there are also other sector-specific policies which we believe that they have to be taken on board and considered when we are formulating the 2025-2026 budget. And how do we simplify tax administration, and also that we are very transparent, and we have to address the systematic challenges that we have seen in terms of budget implementation and expected outcomes. Then in conclusion, Honorable Minister, we are very aware that business nowadays is being done both physically and online, and we know very well that this informal sector, which is the online businesses, does not pay taxes. And it's, of course, in terms of the details of how we can implement this, I think there will be another forum that we can discuss it. In terms of the presumptive tax, currently, the way how it is being done at 1.8%, we believe that we can expound, because the businesses that are not able to have formal tax returns, in terms of the volumes are growing, because we have seen that to reach those levels is very easy, but there is a need of now broadening the tax band. So we are looking at growing the presumptive tax band to at least 40 million, and then at a 3% tax rate, and then also introduce the options that monthly these taxes can be paid. And some of these things, like the introduction of some levies for public services. Honorable Minister, we are very aware that indeed we introduced free primary school education. And there are also free hospital services. But you see what, the truth is, when we have free hospital services, but you can't find the medicine, the truth is that you are paying indirectly. So we are looking at having some levies that are very modest, such that these services, school and the hospitals, we can actually access them, including medicine. It's something that we feel that it can be, it can help the government even providing in quality improvement, such that they can compete fairly with the products that we are importing every day. We can also look at enhancing use of digital tools for tax administration. For example, one ID for all taxes. There is no point of having another ID for VAT, for other income tax, for this tax. It is important that we have one ID for all taxes. And also, that leads us to the second, the one that follows, that is to develop comprehensive tax income profiles. That's for national IDs and the company registry that can track individuals' income. We believe that income that is being generated by an individual must be able to be tracked. What is happening is, at the moment, the national IDs are not necessarily linked to, say, road traffic, not linked. They're not linked to other services that you can get even from the hospital. They're not linked to other services that you can get from either city assembly. So if we have a national ID or the government information system that can track what someone is doing throughout his life, it will be very possible that we can now start tracking the tax income that is being declared each and every year. On employment and individual taxation, so you see that we were looking at how can we optimize revenue, but now also we have to look at how do we make the taxation or the fiscal policies to be very conducive to people. Firstly, we can look at the major ones like the tax-free band for payee, because at the moment, at 150,000, this has been affected with inflation. It has been affected with the assumed devaluation that has been affected, because even the prices of things has gone up, not necessarily in line with the official inflation figures. What has happened is that the prices are now linked to several factors. So we have to adjust we are proposing that we can adjust the tax-free band to 300,000, but also in terms of corporate tax, I can't talk much because my colleagues have already talked about the same on the 40% for taxes for profits over 10 billion. That has already been discussed. However, we are looking at an economy where it is agri-based, but there are also other sectors that we are now looking at. So we're looking at reducing the corporate tax rate for agribusinesses, especially those that are in value adding. Not just the produce, but those that are in value adding. Again, the mega farms were also mentioned, but we can just add that, we need to have effective implementation of this dream. We are looking at introducing incentives for mega farms projects with an export orientation. We have to make sure that when we are looking at these products that are being produced in mega farms, we have to look at the needs for our nation and also opportunities for export. So we can look at issues like investment allowances and enhanced capital allowances on qualifying farm equipment. Lately, we have seen that we have been allowing tax holidays for investments in either green energy or mining, but we have seen that it hasn't been helping the nation as much. So we believe that we can even introduce a reduced business tax rate of 20%, and that is going to help generating more income for the nation. In terms of specific sectors that we are looking at, firstly, in terms of green energy and the natural gas, our colleagues in Tanzania, Mozambique, now they are getting into the compressed natural gas, which is being used in buses. And it's something that we can study and emulate. Also, in terms of the mining, which is a one of the sectors that is being optimized, or it's on the priority list, which is, if I may recall, Honorable Minister, we have been looking at ATM, which is agriculture, tourism, and mining. We owe what? sink. So let's make sure that we have effective and a functional mining regulatory framework. The act is there, but there's little that is happening as from the way how we view it. And also, we know very well that agriculture requires a lot of farm inputs. And we know very well that fertilizer imports, this is a huge bill for this nation. Why are we not focusing on investing in fertilizer production, organic fertilizer production? Honorable Minister, this is something that we can consider, that we have to invest and even promote the use of organic fertilizer. And in terms of imported foodstuffs, which are basically competing unfairly, though we are not saying that we have to protect the local industry, local industries have to also up the game. But if it is something that is already produced locally, why should it face competition where others, the manufacturing industry is so huge and there's a lot of economies of scale, and in the end, the product that is being sold in Malawi cannot compete effectively with the other products. If there are already existing substitutes, let's promote our own substitutes locally. Honorable Minister, there are some things that are taking place, and we see them that it is normal. Issues of public transport. We believe that when we develop effective public transport to ease demand for, 1, fuel, 2, forex, these things are going to ease congestion in urban centers. Sometimes, people can take long if they are to look at having a meeting or somewhere within 30 minutes, but just because the congestion of traffic is just too much, they end up losing time on the way. So in this case, we are looking at, like municipalities have to look at building car parkades. Having car parkades, it will help generating income or revenue for the city councils. On that, we know that there is a revenue appeals tribunal that has been set up. We have to make sure that we hasten the operationalization of the revenue appeals tribunal and its procedures. Because we know that the act was passed in 2021, but 2025 now, it is still not operational, up to date. But the process has to be hastened so that now we can look at the Revenue Appeals Tribunal operational. And again, it was also highlighted by MCCI on the taxation laws and procedures for some special industries like banking, insurance, that has to be looked at critically. Now let me address issues that that have been affecting us as a country. One, we have to combat corruption, which is occurring from misprocurement and the use of blacklisted suppliers. This is something that, as I said, our nation, and even the way how you finished your statement, Honorable Minister, we have one Malawi. And with one Malawi, and this is the country that we have, let's make sure that the issue of corruption, and that is arising from misprocurement and use of blacklisted suppliers, and even a systematic misuse of public funds, that has to be addressed. The issue of money laundering, this thing is taking place even today. Procuring high-value assets on a cash basis is taking place. And it is not right that cash that is being deposited to buy big assets does not even, you don't even have to explain where you got the funds. This must be addressed, Honorable Minister. KYCs must be introduced, even when procuring assets, big assets like vehicles. It is very key. Otherwise, we'll continue clapping hands for witches. I hope you got me right. Clapping hands for witches. So it is very important that my big man must be addressed, these issues. Now, quality control mechanisms for roads being constructed. Surely, when we see construction taking place, everyone is happy, but it is sad that the roads don't last. Let's make sure that, Honorable Minister, there should be quality control mechanisms for roads that are being constructed. Having good roads without drainage, it doesn't help. Because if the rains were to come the way it came with Cyclone Freddy, most roads become impassable. And we are to pay. Honorable Minister, lastly, we are looking at enhancing the management information system for citizens, as I already mentioned, in terms of using the national IDs. That is going to help to synchronize it with tax, employment, education, health, and home affairs records. It will help because people are going to be arrested today. They change names when they are arrested. Who are you? I say, no, I'm not even registered. But if you just take a picture of them and there's a system that is linked, you'll be able to know that this person is this. This is the name. We have to look at having a management information system for all citizens. With that said, we believe that the expected outcomes from this will have an increased tax revenue, and even non-tax revenue will increase. We are going to reduce the financial burden for vulnerable groups and stimulated investment in agriculture, tourism, and all these other sectors. At the end, generating more forex than managing forex. We have to move away from managing, but now we generate more. Then we'll start realizing the Malawi 2063 goals. We'll have reduced unemployment and increased productivity, and also increased gross domestic product and the gross national product per capita. And lastly, we're going to have a very improved governance for our economy. Thank you so much, Honorable Minister. ICAM is there. We affirm our commitment in supporting the government, and so that we can achieve sustainable economic growth. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, ICAM. Honorable Minister, at this juncture, let me invite the Bankers Association of Malawi to make their submission. Thank you.
Honorable Minister, allow me to ride on the protocols that have already been established. Thank you. Good morning, all. I stand here on behalf of the banking community in Malawi. So we also belong to MCCI. So most of the things have already been covered by Daisy. So I'll just run through what we have. We will not go into details. So I will not also bother you with the profile, as long as you know that we stand in for the banks. That will be enough. Our first submission is on the financial inclusion. We all know that banks cannot be all over the country, but still we have to reach out to people. Also looking at what incentives can we give to the financial sector, especially those that are deep into digital banking. The gadgets are very expensive, and the tax on these gadgets are also expensive. Can we incentivize the banks to go more deeper into digital banking so that we reach out to the ends of the country? And then we thought that we should also recognize as a country those banks or the financial sector or the financial corporations that have gone into the productive sector through the digital banking or even through access to finance. Because if we touch the productive sectors, then definitely the economic activity of Malawi will increase. Thereby, we will actually increase our resources. In the banking sector, we're also looking at the reduction of liquidity reserve requirement. I will not give a specific the solution for that or specific rate for that, because it has to be looked at it deeply. We know that the monies that are at the central bank, they are just sitting idle. Of course, we know that for the rainy days. But if these are actually, if LRR is reduced, I'm sure that the cash that has been released will be put to productive use. The extension inflation. We can contain inflation as a country. Okay, we have the mega farms. Yes, it might take time for us to realize the benefits of the mega farms, but we need to actually speed up the exercise so that we contain food inflation. And we believe, just like ICAM has said, Malawi has the capacity to produce its own fertilizer. We don't need to import fertilizer. So if we can actually look at means and ways of coming up with our own companies to produce fertilizer, that would be better for our country. But meanwhile, can we introduce organic fertilizer through Rwanda so that the subsidiary farmers, subsistence farmers can actually use the organic fertilizer other than the one that we are doing? Because if we do that, then foreign exchange will actually be released for other important duties. Yes, we are talking of ATM squared. Can we work on that speedily? Tourism, we have tourism, but it's still at its infancy stage. Other countries are relying on tourism almost at 50%. Malawi can also do better. We have beautiful sceneries in Malawi that can attract people. Those people in embassies, they have to do their work so that they attract people to come into Malawi to visit. And we also have to look at tax holidays. How long are we giving them? Maybe the entire contract we are giving to mining, and then should we charge in kwacha or in dollars so that we take leverage of the foreign exchange? Safety nets, we have actually seen that in Malawi there is a gap between the poor and the rich. Yes, the government guidelines. We believe these will simplify the Taxation Act and enhance understanding to all that are affected by the Taxation Act. On the government expenditure, it has already been tackled. Yes, we can control the expenditure and we can have some profits or surplus at the end of the day. I've seen last year we had 2 or 3 departments that really controlled their expenditure and they had a surplus. So if this can be implicated to all the MDAs, I'm sure we can do better in the near future. And of course on procurement, a lot of wastage goes to procurement. How do we streamline to make sure that government gains a lot from the procurement that we have? So Daisy talked about the positives that have come from their presentation that was last year on the uniforms. Yes, we are doing it in Malawi, but we should also make sure that the cost is not punitive, but is fair to everybody. So, Honorable Minister, as you have said, morning may last for the night, but joy comes in the morning. So we are Malawians. We don't have anywhere to go. We have to be patriotic. As we have our budget, let's look at it critically, but at the end of the day, let's control the expenditures so that it is a budget that is for everyone, including the rural people in the village. Thank you so much. I submit.
Thank you so much, Bankers Association of Malawi. At this juncture, Honorable Minister, let me hand over to the Secretary of the Treasury to go into the budget contribution and discussion. Thank you.
Thank you very much, all the colleagues that have made very brilliant presentations. And I was sitting next to the minister there. He was taking note of everything. He has done a lot of writing. He was asking a lot of questions to me. He really is following, and it's really going to be a budget for all of us. We have to go into the plenary. Some can call it Q&A, whatever it is. We would like to manage our time so that within 30 minutes we probably have done a lot that we should have done. So I will ask that we should not spend too much time giving too much background. We should just go straight to the point. I note President Law Society, welcome. I've seen you. You've rushed from court to come here to join us. Thank you very much for that. But maybe before we can go to others, there are two requests that we got a little late. So I'm going to give a maximum of 3 minutes to each one of them to do their presentations. It's going to be a maximum of 3 minutes. And I'm going to make sure that I'm using my time quite well on that one. Let's start with the Institute of Marketers. You have exactly 3 minutes. You are marketers. You should be able to present a point in under a minute.
Which we have been complaining for many years, but this is now going to the third year where we have a budget line for nutrition that is commendable. That being the case, however, what we have noted is that the current ceiling for the budget in district is still very low, and would like to request the expansion of that ceiling, so that the funding at district level should be able to accommodate a number of areas that are important in addressing our nutrition problems. Adding to that is that the head of state made a commitment when we were launching the SAN 3.0 in September 2021. One of that commitment is that government is going to recruit nutrition frontline workers. These are going to be based at traditional authority level. Yeah, so we feel that expanding the budget at district level should accommodate that commitment, because as of now, if you look at the nutrition statistics, instead of going down, we are going up. The Smart Survey of 2024 highlighted that standing now is 39%, so that is worrisome. On the second issue that we want to highlight, is that we would like to commend the government also for the investment that it has done in institutions like the academia, Rwanda, University of Malawi, and other universities that are training nutritionists. And also notable is the training that Rwanda is doing, they're training dietetics. However, there are also gaps. So I would like to request that funding towards these institutions should also expand, like for dietitians, for them to be properly trained. They go to South Africa and other countries for them to do practicals, because we don't have facilities that can accommodate that. The other thing that these dietitians, we don't have an establishment in the district hospitals. They are only found at central hospitals, but they are very important professionals that can respond to the rising of the NCDs and obesity that are a cause of many of death in our country. So we feel that district hospitals should have dietitians as professionals after they are being trained. As of now, Rwanda graduated several of them, and most of them are just lying idle. So I think it is through this forum, since maybe the limitations are also on the funding at this level, that's why they are not being absorbed. The other thing, Honorable Minister, is also to highlight that we as ISONA conduct annual analysis to the budget, and as of last year, the contribution to the national budget towards nutrition was around 1.1. This falls short to some of the commitments that we have made, like from the World Health Assembly target.
Sometimes you wonder whether it should be part of the health sector or it should be the food security sector. An African shirt is the one wearing, yes, that one. I'm sorry, you mention your name and probably the constituency you are representing too. By constituency, I'm not referring to you being a member of parliament, by the way. Where are you coming from, the sector, business, or even the organization where you're coming from? Thank you.
Thank you very much, moderator. I'm Simon Munde. I'm representing the disability sector. I'm the ED for Federation of Disability Organizations in Malawi. We had made a request to make a presentation, I think Friday last week, and unfortunately we were not there on the list. But one thing that still more an observation that I think this being a public consultative meeting, we've seen that Minister of Finance did not arrange for sign language interpreters. I think this is one thing that has to be improved next time, because you would have a person with hearing impairment coming here to attend, and if the key duty bearer doesn't arrange for one, I think it's quite a miss. And I just wanted to say that basically we had a presentation, and maybe we'll share within today what we had arranged. But one thing that we've noted is that over the years, I think issues of disability haven't been as much prioritized as they were supposed to be. One key challenge that we've experienced over the years is the reduced funding for the Department of Disabilities, which is housed in the Ministry of Gender, Community Development and Social Affairs. And this has actually affected the issues of promotion of mainstreaming of disability in different government ministries, departments and agencies. And this is quite a very serious one. Just for last year, I think around 30 million kwacha, if we are to take disability as one entity that was given to the Department of Disability, and that was quite unfortunate. And one other area that we wanted to talk about is in the area of the Disability Trust Fund. When the first year that the Disability Trust Fund got subversion, I think they got 200 million kwacha. That's around 2019-2020 financial year. And over the years, the allocation kept on dwindling, and this was quite unfortunate. And I always give an example of the government, the Minister of Finance last year when he was presenting the budget. I think he spoke passionately about an allocation to the Constituency Development Fund to have reached 200 million. And that's just a constituency. And you're talking of the disability sector, which has a population of almost 11.6% of the population, and being given less than 200 million. And I always ask, is this fair enough? Are we really being deliberate in the advancement of rights of persons with disabilities? Are we really living according to the motto that we have in the Agenda 2030 for Sustainable Development, that we have to leave no one behind? Even the Malawi 2063, that we're talking of inclusive wealth creation, we expected that the allocation was supposed to be much better, maybe $1 billion kwacha, because if you are talking of a constituency being given 200 million, a constituency maybe would represent to almost less than 1% of the population, and 11.6% of the population is being given less than 200 million. What are we doing? In addition to that, we are also talking of issues of the economic empowerment, National Economic Empowerment Fund. We would have loved that the National Economic Empowerment Fund had a specific scheme for persons with disabilities, because as of now, as we were celebrating last year that the National Economic Empowerment Fund has actually managed to disburse about 100 billion. At that particular time, less than 1% of the money that was spent, less than 1% of the beneficiaries were persons with disabilities. So you're talking of a population of 11.6%, but less than 1% of the beneficiaries being persons with disabilities. Are we really being genuine in our efforts to make sure that no one is being left behind? So let's make sure that we have that particular specific allocation for persons with disabilities, so that we are really deliberate that no person with disability is going to be left behind. There has also been in the Affordable Input Program that kind of a notion that says only productive citizens are going to benefit from that. But most of the times, for the implementers of that, it is construed that persons with disabilities are not as productive. More especially where you're coming up with a point that persons with disabilities will benefit from the social cash transfer. And in those kind of cases, even persons with disabilities are being left behind. So what we're saying is that it is important that because we have so many persons with disabilities in the communities, in the rural areas, that are quite productive. If you are going to ask programs like Pride, Trade, Farms, they are going to tell you that persons with disabilities are as productive, even much more productive than those, the so-called persons without disability.
dollar, but there are a lot of things which we can do using the rand. And how do we get the rands? We have got Malawians in diaspora in South Africa, and every month they are sending their remittances. we could use those remittances by mostly telling them to deposit their money in South Africa so that we can be maybe the best time to focus on the output. How much do we want Malawi to produce in 2025? Do we want 5 million metric tons of maize? From there, we will now have better methodology. Methodology comes from the output, but we are focusing too much on the input, which is taking too much of our money. And if we focus much on output, we can develop a better financial system, futures market, that will enhance price discovery. How much should maize be sold in October? We could be dealing with those things today and say in October, maize should be 700 kwacha per kilogram. So the producers will make their mathematics, but they will not be able to run away from their contractual obligation. They will be able to fill the silos at 700 kwacha per kilogram. That's what we need to do. Number 3, we need to seriously tackle the black market economy. Malawi has a very big black market economy, because if it wasn't for that, then a lot of people would have run away from Malawi. But in fact, there is a reversal. There are more people coming in, meaning that there are a lot of opportunities in Malawi. If the black market economy is controlled, then the problem we are talking about, the parallel market exchange rate, would be gone. Because it's the black market which is fueling the parallel market exchange rates. And there is also a lot of taxes forgone. Only very few people are being taxed. If we could just be able to go out and say, there was a presentation made from the ICAM where they're saying even when you want to buy a vehicle, there must be KYC. How did you buy this vehicle? Because all that most of that is in the black market economy. So if we could be able to control and suppress the black market economy so that everyone goes into the normal economy, our GDP figures, our economic figures, or our economic projections could greatly improve. The more taxes we collect means the lower sovereign debt we will have. Government will borrow less. But as long as the money is speeding or not being accounted for, that is putting too much pressure on our exchange rate, and the government is borrowing more.
Future earnings of our assets. So that's very interesting. I was expecting your neighbor to speak more than you.
organization as presenting children with disabilities, we wanted to ask, is it possible for the Minister of Finance to allocate a certain budget for children with disability? Because the money that you allocate to the Disability Trust Fund, we appreciate the effort of the government, but it's not enough because there's not that standalone. That eventually it makes that when the money is being allocated, it's just allocated anyhow to all persons with disability. We're forgetting that for us to be here, it started from us being a child. So if we neglect this stage, it would help us. I understand we also have people with disability. We have Mr. Mundi, he has a visual impairment. I can see other people. How about those people with disability who are living in Luro? We're neglecting them. So we need a proper budget for children with disability. We have a lot of laws that we have Convention on the Rights of the Child. It appreciates that a child has, there is the need of priority. The government, it's the obligation of the government to put a certain budget for the children because of their age and what mentality. Thank you so much. I would want the media to help me. We have children with disability here. Maybe it will give you a patient. Maybe some of you haven't seen people with disabilities. So I have, there's Venus here. We have this kind of children, person with albinism. How can they survive when we know how climate now is? If someone like me, I'm struggling when it's all sunny, how about this person? There are no medicine for them because there's not that a budget for them. Because the money that is being allocated, it's general. But at the end of the day, the priorities always divert. We neglect them. We also have a child there, Chimwemwe. Chimwemwe, can you stand? It doesn't mean that she has a disability. That means she's not intelligent. There are some other children that without disability, but they're not that intelligent. That means if we can invest in them, we can have a proper Malawi. You said something of Malawi for all. Are we saying that because they have a disability, they are less Malawians? No, we also have to prioritize. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Thank you. I believe that was number 3 and not number 4. So, Honourable Minister, that's classifying to a more specific aspect. Let's now get number 4. I think it was a lady also at that corner there. Is she there?
Yes. All protocols observed. I am Neri Nkumba. I'm the president of the pensioners, coming and standing for over 14,000 pensioners who are yet to receive their gratuities. And I have come to present our problems as people who worked in the government and we retired. And most of them, they retired from way back in 2021. Up to now, most of them have not yet received their gratuities. We appreciate the government that there has been loans that have been taken from the banks to cushion the gratuity payments. But I'm here to say that even though the loans are there, but it seems the pace at which the gratuities are being dispersed is just so low. So much so that, as you know, people retire at mandatory age, some retire at voluntary age. And most of these people, some of them are sick, they are ill, they are weak, and some are dying before they get their gratuities. It is in this meeting that we ask the Honorable Minister to help give more funding in towards the gratuities, because as I have already said, most of the retired people are suffering in the villages, they are suffering in the towns. So we need the budget towards the gratuities to be increased, and also that months. Then challengeable in 2023, there was also another new pension act which says 3 months a pensioner should get his or her dues. Now, as we can see, I'm talking about 2021, 2022, 2023.
Thank you so much. I'm Dr. Abel Jefta from Malawi Assemblies of God University. I'm speaking on behalf of part-time lecturers from all private universities. For 1 3-credit hour course, they teach 3 hours per week. And that is 12 hours per month. At the rate of 8,000 per hour, they earn 96,000 per month. And that is very, very low than the 150,000 kwacha tax-free threshold. But from this amount, they are deducted 20% withholding tax. The assumption should not be that these part-time lecturers also work elsewhere. With the high rate of unemployment, a majority of them depend on part-time job. Also, the assumption should not be that they can claim from MRA at the end of a year, because the process of claiming is very high than the amount they claim. The proposal, therefore, is to align their income tax with the 0% tax rate, or reduce significantly the rate they have to pay. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Thank you so much. Let's take the next, maybe, let me go to cohort. But I want to suggest that if somebody has got something that they can suggest about maximization of revenues, I want to start with that one. Is there a hand, somebody who can tell us about how we can maximize revenue? You should tell us something about revenue. So I'll say number 1 is revenue, right? Number 1 in the red jacket. Number 2, Akagamangeo. Number 3 here. I need a lady. Number 4, another lady. Anyone? Any lady challenge? Okay, then we'll say number 5 in the suit. But revenue. How can we get? Because we all want to get more, you know, allocations. So that's expenditure. We are forgetting the revenue part. We need, how can we get more revenues while getting the economy moving? So let's start with number 1. Yes, you have the floor.
My name is Muhammadi Abutrika. Allow me to speak in Chichewa. Kudindolongo sole buno bwino zimene ndikuganiza kuti no mwina boma soli koza kupeza ko ndalama zimene zikoza no kuthandiza ku budget yathu. Ndibwere kunjinga za moto zimene zikuononga kwambiri umoyo wa anthu, komanso zimene zikuononga kwambiri mankhwala kuchipatala. Mukayang'ana njinga zija palibe china chilichonse chimene chimapereka ku boma lathu, koma sirumo ndi chimodzi chimene zikumachita ngozi kwambiri kuti tipite pa Queens paja mukapeza kuti kuli wodi ya anthu amene avulala chifukwa cha ngozi za njinga za moto. Pamayenera kuti titapanga ka initiative kuti tikepo kansonkho kokakamiza kuti anthu aja azipereka. Kasakale kansonkho kamene kakhoza kuapweteka kwambiri, koma kansonkho kamene kali komverera kuti azichimva mu mtima mwawo. Komanso pokhala kuti tili ndi malamulo okakamizidwa nkhani ya insurance. Imeyenera kuti njinga ina iliyonse itakhala ndi insurance. Kuti anthu amene avulala chifukwa cha ngozi cha njinga ya moto ija azipezapo polirira. Ndipitenso ku health. Mloko ku Malawi, ku health kwathu timapita timalandira zinthu zaulere. Tili ndi zinthu zambiri zimene kumalandira zinthu zaulere. Kukanakhala kunena kuti tapanga introduce at least 10,000 kwaja munthu wina aliyense yokakamiza. Munthu amene uja wapereka 10,000 kwaja uja mwampanga register. Pamene akupita ku chipatala kukatengano mankhwala ake aja azipita kuti at least 2,000 kwaja. Ndekuti wapereka kale 10,000 kwaja mukaipanga ku population ya 20 million ndi mabiliyoni angati amene tikoza kupanga generate kuchokera ano kuzimenezozo. Komanso munthu uja akupita ndi 2,000 kwaja. Pa chiwerengero cha anthu cha 20 million kwaja ndekuti tikupanganso ka generate kandalama kena kamene kakhoza kuthandizano ku health kuja. Chifukwa ndi mbali imodzi imene timayilekerera kwambiri, koma ndi mbali imodzi imene imaononga ndalama zathu kwambiri kwake. Tipite ku ulimi. Nkhani ya amene ulimi ndi chinthu chimodzi chimene chikhoza kupanga transform our economy. Komando timangoyankhula kuti tipite pa ground mukampeze mulimi weniweni uja. Ndi zinthu zomvetsa chisoni. Panopa tikumamva nkhani ya amabanki apanga phindu lambirimbiri. Kodi phindu limene apanga lija kuziko la anthu osauka. Kodi agalipanga share bwanji kwa uyoyo wosauka uja amene wavutika uja ngakhale ziko lili lovutika koma anthu aja apanga phindu lodabwisa kumadabwa economy yathu ikupanga safa koma anthu apanga phindu how ndiye kuti samayang'aniranso ziko anthu osauka aku Malawi akanakhala kuti anthu mabanki athu aja amakhala ndi chisoni ndi munthu osauka bwezi mwina ma interest rate yawo aja akumasisa kuti munthu osauka uja at least nayeso apumire. Tili ndi nkhani makampani amafoni kuli almost 50 to 65 billion imene imapanga circulate imene mucha. Koma mukayang'ana kuphindu limene lijalo limene makampani amene amapeza munthu weniweni akugwira ntchito ija kuti phindu lija lipeze ka interest kamene akumapanga ndikomvetsa chisoni. Komvetsa chisoni kwambiri koma makampani ndi akupanga the huge profit kuchokera kwa munthu amene akukhala pa zuwa. Kodi sipakakhale kena kaje konena kuti kaphindu limene mukupanga kuchokera wonena maye atomani chanja kuti muzikapereka kubomaku kuti cholinga chonena kuti munthu osauka uja kapena iye munkwezere uyuyu akugwira ntchito yeniyeniyu pa ground paja kuti nayenso azikwanisa kumanga nyumba chifukwa choti akupanga za iye atomani.
Thank you very much. Thank you so much. Thank you. I know the CG is particularly excited about the Kapaza issue, and I know that the minister will not finish his talk here without talking about Kapaza. Number two. Who was number two? Yes, Cox.
Honorable Minister, we are humbled and honored for you to accord us this opportunity to contribute and submit our proposals before you. And first, we are aware that some quarters have floated the idea of introducing accident levy to be collected through a surcharge on either driver's license, COF, or change of ownership, indeed at toll gates. Honorable Minister, it will be our assertion that such an approach is misguided. First, it is common knowledge that the main culprits, just as there are a majority of road accident victims, are motorcyclists, and yet they bypass the toll gates. In most cases, do not even care to register their bikes or obtain licenses, and yet only some sectors of the transportation industry are expected to pick the tab. Second, this is despite that the motorcycles are imported duty-free and the subsector is unregulated. Thirdly, we want to overburden the minibus operators will, in the long run, be detrimental to the industry, as we will be unable to adequately service the buses. A recipe for accidents. Revenues can be collected through targeting horizontal base than vertically overburdening a narrow base. Honorable Minister, the best practice is to put up control measures to ensure our roads are safe. Most of these accidents are avoidable, and are due to negligence and carelessness. By providing adequate training to motorcycle riders, conduct defensive drivers courses to all drivers, and sensitization to the general public can really save many lives and injuries, thereby minimizing the resources. We suggest the accident levy be applicable through importation surcharges of motor vehicles and motorbikes, new or second-hand. This will spur fairness and equality in the industry. Minimum duty payments should be considered on motorbikes. Thus, this basket can be channeled to the hospital. And safe mode of transportation. It is for this reason our members would like to replace the word fleet so that they continue to facilitate travel and communication among Malawians for the benefit of accessing education. Perfectly kwacha. While the cowboys are collecting 15,000 kwacha per trip, just imagine if that money can be put, properly managed. This can develop, without even, going deeper into the government coffers. I thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much. Let's get from the lady now, that would be number 3, I suppose. There was a lady. This side? Who is number 3? Who is number 4?
Number 4.
Where's number 4? Yes, please take it up.
All right, thank you very much. My name is Marina P., representing the academia. But I'm coming from the academia, but today, here representing the National Center for Adult Education under the Ministry of Gender and Community Development. So much as you said, our contribution should be regarding revenue, but my comments would focus more on human capital development to maximize the potential that people have to bring in the revenue. So much as we are looking at the budget itself, we would like to appeal for increased funding in the Center for Adult Education, because we would like to see Malawians who have been capacitated, who have skills, who have knowledge and expertise to be effective, to be productive in their activities. So I mentioned earlier on that I'm coming from the academia, which is the formal education system. When we're looking at last year's report of the education sector, it showed that out of the enrollment of 5.4 million learners in the primary school, only 84,000 get to the tertiary education system. Then we're wondering, what is happening to the people that have dropped out? What are they doing really? Are they just lying idle? We want a Malawi where everybody is doing something, is contributing to the development, which is why we're asking that let there be increased funding even for people who are just lying idle. Let them be equipped with skills, entrepreneurship skills, agribusiness, whatever they can do in their homes, non-formal learning, that they can be effective, they can support their families, they can support their communities, even national development. So all these activities that I'm talking about are under adult education and learning. Unfortunately, most of us, when we hear about adult education, we narrowly understand it as literacy classes, which is just a bit of adult education. Most of us here, yes, we have had the privilege of being in the formal education sector. But if you look at your background, people, your relatives in your communities, there are people that are just staying in the families. So we ask, can't we teach them about business? Can't we teach them about agriculture? Which is what the National Center for Adult Education is advocating for. So therefore, we would like to ask for increased funding under this center so that we should deal with these adults so that they can contribute to the sustainable development goals and even the 2063 agenda that we are all talking about. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Lastly, 2 minutes, please. The Honourable Minister needs to be rushing back. I think in terms of time, we are really doing bad.
Thank you,
So,
Honourable Minister. I'm Kelvin Chifunda, representing Malawi Congress of Trade Unions. My first point on increasing revenue collection is on formalizing the informal sector. We can all agree here that Malawi has got a very big informal sector which is not formalized and which doesn't pay taxes. So if we formalize the informal sector, I think we'll be able to collect taxes from there. My second point, other points will be on the expenditure. We are asking as employees in this country to increase the tax-free band from 150,000 to 300,000 in order to improve the takeaway money for the employee. And we are also asking the ministry to increase the resources to the Ministry of Labor and the Industrial Relations Court. These two are failing to discharge their duties properly because they get low resources from the ministry. We are also asking the ministry to invest in sectors that can promote creation of jobs and human resource development in the country. The other point is we are asking the ministry to reduce some taxes in the Ministry of Tourism in order to promote tourism sector. There are so many taxes or levies in the Ministry of Tourism, i.e., they have to pay city or district assembly rate, they have to pay MBS rate, they have to pay liquor levy, and they have to pay tourism levy. And all these are borne by one employer. So we think if we reduce some of these and harmonize them, we'll be able to promote tourism sector in Malawi. We are also asking the ministry to remove severance pay from those severance tax on the, to remove tax on the severance pay for those who have been dismissed, as this is the last pay that one gets after being dismissed. And this person has already been paying payee to the government. Now he has been retrenched, and we are taxing him again on the severance pay. We feel the government can do much better if they could support this employee who is now going home to think of what he can do next. Lastly, Honorable Minister, mwina ndinene mchichewa, mu tourism sector, ambiri amene amagwira ntchito ndi aganyu amene tikuti casuals. Koma kumapezeka kuti aganyuwa pamwezi mwina akagwira ntchito, their total pay imapezeka kuti mwina ndi 50,000 kwacha. Nde amapasidwa msonkho wopitilira mwina 30% wotadulidwe pa 50,000 pacha. Ndeti mapempha kuti bwanji anthu amenewa atachoseredwa msonkho umenewu, chifukwa iwowo they are not permanently employed, ndi ganyu akulandira ndalama zochepa koma akudulisidwanso msonkho waukulu. Mapeto wake amalephera kuti apeze zofunikira pathupi lawo komanso pa khomo pawo. Zikomo kwambiri.
Zikomo kwambiri, tathokoza. Honorable Minister, mwina mukhoza kubwera kuti mudzayankhire pa zonse zimene zayankhulidwa. Tupaseni mpata. Ngakhale apopo akhala ngati kuti akhoza kudzuka ndi mkonowo, mwina anduna akubwera mukhoza kuyankhula kuti mati chakuti. Is that brown or what suit? I'm colorblind. Yes, sir. Yes, yes. Mukhoza kungonena kuti ndimati chakuti anduna basi. He's my former colleague, so he needs to be recognized. You're not my former colleague.
My name is Mjedo Mukandawire. I would like to talk on the expenditure cutting side. It has been known for generations that if you want peace, prepare for war. And Malawi has done well. For half a century of independence, we have had a defense force, and we have it. And fortunately, we've had no war with any country, which is very good. Now, looking at the future, what are we saying? Can experts in international relations, perhaps in regional relations, tell us what lies ahead, say next half century or beyond? Is Malawi likely to go to war with another country? Or just civil strife that would call upon the defense force to quell it down? Now, if the answer is no, which is most likely, I'm saying it's most likely because over the years now, international relations is growing, and regional cooperation is growing, in our case, SADC, and in these cooperative efforts, security is very, very important, and SADC would not want to see a country fighting another. Now, if the probability of not having a war in Malawi in the next half a century or so is that we were not going to have war, and we can even actually invoke the participation of prophets of God, those with clean record of prophecies. If the prophet can tell us that we are not going to war.
So Njedo, straight to the point now.
What I'm trying to say, therefore, if at all the probability is zero that we're going to go to war in the next half century or beyond, isn't now our size of the defense force, do we retain it as it is, or there is room for cutting down in terms of personnel as well as equipment? If there is, let's examine it. Let's have a multidisciplinary team of consultants to look at the issue and advise us what we can do, whether there is need to cut down on defense force.
Thank you. Thank you, Mjedo. Mukosa kunena kuti one. Honorable Minister, please come. Let's allow the Honorable Minister to come. We really do not have the time. We can engage after the Honorable Minister. Okay. I'm very much available for that engagement. Thank you very much.
I hope it is still morning. So good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Let me start by saying, Uncle Jana, I'm your nephew, so I'm available in case you have a very burning issue. We need to talk off this meeting. Probably time is not on our side. Just as I said in our previous pre-budget consultations, maybe you can switch off your mic that side. Oh yeah. The design of these meetings are that the minister is not supposed to respond, because prompt responses would probably derail, demotivate or motivate others, but also would actually create a very bad precedence. As I said, our primary objective is to listen to your views and contributions, and finally, the action we can do is to consolidate by compiling these views, and then go back to office, look at each one of them critically on their degree of importance, and see how that can be incorporated into a budget framework, because that's the process. However, we always get tempted. We always get tempted to provide more insight, not necessarily responses. By saying all the submissions are making sense. They're very genuine, innovative, insightful, informative, to the extent that if we had a chance of incorporating all of them, then I would say all of them will see the light of the day. However, we have to sieve and probably get some, but also put some on the waiting list. But somebody talked about mining. And Bechani looked at me and said, this is what forms part of almost of our daily discussions, technically. I was also one of those that saw the creep, talking about the Cassia rutile fortunes, including the period that we're going to be able to mine in Cassia, about 50 years to come. That leads us to areas that require some serious attention. Number one, we need to quantify the mineral deposits in this country, monetize them to impact the GDP. That will give our realistic and real worth of this country. If people are coming in this country, getting our resources, some of them even it means they have discovered something that we don't know. Time is now for us to know, because when we have that knowledge, we'll act rightly, decisively, to the extent that we actually enjoy the proceeds of what we have. So we have the mineral or the mining company established, the Mining Regulatory Authority, but we also have the Malawi Development Corporation Holdings Limited. It's time to hit the ground running, and we need to trigger the process now. I almost wept when Munde, Elizabeth Kaundama, and several others talked about disability issues. Sometimes we can generalize, but you can see they have spoken explicitly on specific issues that require attention. And I was busy trying to take notes. And I think we needed to engage them more, because they could not have enough time to expound almost everything. But we have taken note. What is most intriguing is the fact that we are able to project where MRA can expand the tax base. The issue of Kabaza came out strongly in Inzuzu. I just wanted to assure you that my ministry, through the ST and the PSS, have had very advanced discussions and interfaces with the Kabaza Association. And we're so amazed with their willingness to pay tax. You can't believe it. It was them coming into ministry. We want to be regulated. We are an association or a sector that have got the potential to pay tax, but we are not given the necessary consideration and attention. Why? Because that will help them to get formal trainings, to have their Njinga za Moto registered. But at the same time, that will also reduce drastically incidents of accidents that are caused not because of recklessness, but because of lack of knowledge on how to drive a motorcycle mwina m'misewu yatala, because nobody has gone there to train them. So much as we will be providing trainings, it can also be a potential area for us to expand our tax base. Just as I said, we are not here to provide answers. Let me assure you, we are going to do the consolidation. And time permitting, now that we have finalized the regionally based pre-budget consultations, we'll be able now to draw the participants' list across the country to come and listen to budget presentation. Who knows? Some of the issues that have been highlighted here might see the light of the day. One other thing that I have liked in your submissions here is that you are even going beyond what we've thought before. The 10 billion, you are saying, it should not be selective. I like that. So, tikuitanani. Mubwera, tikagambirani. But allow me also to say that in instances where we need more information and details, we might come back to you just to ask you to clarify on some of your submission. My ministry is 24/7, very much available and open. Shall there be need that you think you were not given space to speak out your views here? Call us. We'll be able to respond. Because we have collectively agreed that we shall never have another country to call home, and this is the only one. And somebody says, if we think as the nation, everybody thinks. Therefore, time is now. And the architect to do this is actually you. And the place to do it is actually here in Malawi. Therefore, your collective and active participation to give birth to a budget that reflects Malawians' aspirations. Therefore, we are looking forward to continued engagement and collaboration, so that one day we shall sing a song that we have recovered from economic malaise and quagmire, and that during that time, our dream, as many others have always have dreams, we could be saying, I'm part and parcel of the people that actually saw the change and transformation from economic challenges to economic fortunes. Therefore, in the spirit of one Malawi, one people and one nation, I hope that we shall have a very good budget, and that you will be playing for us, that when we will be presenting, we present exactly what you wanted us to do. May Almighty God give you abundance blessings. Thank you very much for your attention.
Having reached this far, Honorable Minister, I would like to request our office chief in Kreji, Mr. Peter Mvalo, to close with.
Yeah, that's Mr. Williams Banda, and the Minister of Finance, Honorable Simplex Tichola Banda, has just finished making his final remarks at the pre-budget consultation meeting, which the ministry has been holding. This is the third a third pre-budget consultation meeting the ministry has been holding, and these meetings are aimed at soliciting views from various stakeholders on what the 2025-2026 national budget should be constituted of. And there have been a number of contributions from a diverse of contributors. There were contributions from the Institute of Chartered Accountants. There were some contributions from MCCCI. There were contributions from the Bankers Association of Malawi, and other individuals have also made their contributions. But key were that there have been calls to the ministry to make sure that issues of taxes are looked into, to make sure that the business community is not impinged or there is a conducive environment for business players to do their businesses, which will contribute to the growth of the country's economy. There were also suggestions from other stakeholders who said that there should be a relook on some of the legislations that we have with regard to issues of economy. They're saying that some of the legislations that are there are also impeding on the desired progress that Malawi want on the issues of economy. So the Minister of Finance has indicated that these views have been taken note of, and they will be considered. There was also a contribution from the Federation of Persons with Disabilities, FEDOMA, through their Executive Director, Simon Munde. He called for an increase in terms of funding allocations to the Department of Disability and Elderly Affairs in the Ministry of Gender. They're saying that the 35 billion kwacha that was allocated in the previous budget was not enough, and there is a need to increase this budget. And he also proposed that the Disability Trust Fund should be increased to at least 1 billion kwacha to make sure that issues of persons with disabilities are taken care of. He also asked the Minister of Finance to ensure that in the Constituency Development Fund, there is at least 5% allocation specifically for issues to do with the persons with the disabilities. Those are some of the contributions that have been made by some of the contributors that took part in today's budget consultation meeting by the Ministry of Finance. Talking about ICAM made a number of suggestions that they feel would help in making sure that the country's economy gets back to its desired levels. So basically those are some of the things that have transpired here at the Mount Soji Hotel, where the Ministry of Finance was holding this third and last pre-budget consultation meeting for the year, for the financial year